Hello and welcome to the Insert Menu module. Before we get started with the Insert Menu itself, select a chart and maximize it, as I'm doing here, so that we can have a larger chart to work with. Now let's pop on over to the Insert Menu, and this is where many of the goodies of MetaTrader are. The indicators, including the moving average, and just to give you an example, we'll click on moving average here. Dialog box pops up. We get an opportunity to change the color. If we wanted it to be blue, we can change whether we wanted solid or dashed line, the thickness of that line. We can apply that to the open, high, lower, close, or a number of other factors. We can determine whether it's simple, exponential, smoothed, or linear weighted. We can also set up a shift to the left or to the right, and also the period of the moving average. Here we've got a 14 period moving average. Okay. Let's set the visualization to all time frames. Levels we're going to ignore for now. Go back. And there we have it. Nice moving average. And as you hover your mouse over it, it'll tell you the period. And you can also see the value of the moving average at any particular time, which is also very useful. Now, to change the moving average, simply hover over it thusly. Now you can either delete the indicator, or you can go back to properties, and say you wanted to change it to a 100 period moving average. You can go back and you can do that. A lot flatter, isn't it? That's just the way it is. All I'm doing to move the chart, the data on the chart, is I am clicking the left mouse button, holding it down, moving it to the right or to the left, just so you'll know. Now we can pop down here and completely delete that particular indicator. Lots and lots more here. Oscillators, Bill Williams alligator, average directional movement index, average true range, which is very important and handy. And then these are categorized as to the type of indicators that there are. Trending indicators, oscillators, and here's a very popular one, the stochastics. And all I'll do here is just show you that the oscillator indicators show up down here in their own indicator section. Okay, and you can click on the left mouse button and hold it down and drag that section and size it the way you'd like. So if you want to see more that way, you can do that. Okay, so with here, stochastics, completely, you can eliminate that. And we can go back here to lines. As you can see, indicators, we've taken a look at all these. You can do custom ones as well. Volume, oscillators, Bill Williams, the alligator, fractals. Come here and do lines. You can do a vertical line, for instance. Vertical line with the value right there of the date. Pop down and do a horizontal line. If you want to do a horizontal line, say right there. Now, I'll show you something about the lines. You hover over it, it shows the value. If you want it to reflect a different value, like I said, we want it to reflect a little higher value of here, we can do that. Hover over it. Go to the objects list. See what it says objects list? And it shows, that's not what I want to use right now, but it shows the value right here, what's what. Vertical line, horizontal line. So let's pop through here and change the parameters. And let's say we want to change the parameters to 1.48295. We can do that very easily. 95. And there it hops up there. Now, if you want to change the color, no problem. Color change is easy. You want it to be thicker. Make green. It can do that. Let's not make it green. Everything on there is green. Aqua. Nice aqua color. Same thing with the vertical line. You want to move it somewhere, you can. To a different date. If you want to move it to, let's see, which is this? Okay, that's October the 2nd. You want to move it to the 3rd. Let's do that. And we're over on the 3rd, just like that. Want to remove the objects? No problem. Go to the objects list, hit that, delete, delete, gone. Just like that. All right, back to the menu. Trend lines. This is a little bit different. Rather than a one-click, a trend line is a two-click situation. We click, and we draw the line the way we want, and then we release. We're going to do it this way. Put it on these, like that. Okay. Okay. You want to have the change the trend line parameters. See the values there. You can change that as well, and you can also delete that. Pop that way, delete, and we're out. Okay. And I'm just showing you these first few so you can get a feel for working with the menu, that type of thing. But some of these do deserve an extra explanation. Now the trend line by angle, this is really neat. Click, hold down the left mouse button. Now you see down where my cursor was, see it says 90 degrees. Now see, I want to draw something at the 45-degree angle. How about this? How about I go to properties? I go to object list, sorry. I want to edit that. Parameters, angle in degrees, 45. There we go. And it's interesting how the 45 lines up with that, isn't it? That's a topic for another day. All right. But that's trend line by angle for us. We can delete that. Go to the objects list. And there are a number of ways to do that. I thought I deleted it. Select, delete. There we go. All right. So let's pop back up. Channels. Linear regression, standard deviation channels, Fibonacci channels. You've got GAN lines, GAN fan, GAN grid. You've got a little bit of everything. Here, if we start talking about the linear regression channel, it's a statistical analysis tool, and it's just used for forecasting of future values on the basis of available data. If the trend is ascending, then one can logically suppose that the next bar will be a bit higher than the preceding one. The linear regression method allows you to have a statistical demonstration of such logical conclusions. Now, for this tool, 2 points must be drawn. Okay. And take a look at that. It's interesting, isn't it? Capture everything within that channel. Another interesting tool. All right, the regression channel. Okay, so again, just wanted to show you some samples of some things. Rectangles. This allows you to draw some objects on the chart if you wanted to do that for some particular reason. If you wanted to draw a rectangle and then you wanted to add text, for instance, you can go through here. You can add text. rectangle is blue. Did I spell rectangle right? You'll have to help me out on this. Okay, here we go. There we go. This rectangle is blue. Okay, now as far as the text is concerned, go to text properties. You can change it any way you'd like to. If you want the font to be larger, you can go to a larger font. You want the color to be different, you can go to a different color. You want any of the other parameters. You want the angle to be 45 degrees. You could change that. Value to be there. There we go. It doesn't mean anything in this particular point, but this could be very handy if, for instance, you are drawing a trend line, for instance. And the trend line is going in that particular direction as well. So you can label that trend line. That in itself is pretty handy. So let's delete that. Delete this. Go to the objects list here. This is always all right. All the objects are gone there. We'll continue on. Arrows. Now arrows are very handy if you're wanting to identify a few things. For instance, let's say this was the start of the up move. We'll go to the arrow thickness. No change there. That makes sense. And if we want an up move to be green, we can change that. And there we go. Big green arrow right there. No problem. If we wanted to do another arrow for something along the lines of a down arrow, we can do that. Okay, it kept that color, but we're going to go straight here to red for down. I'm going to thicken that up just a bit to make that one a little bit larger. And so, as you can see, handy. These can be moved around as well, so if you want to move them from place to place as you experiment and learn things, that's fine too. Okay, so I'll just leave those there. We'll continue down. Now, Andrew's pitchfork and some of these other things, cycle lines, can be very handy as well. So we'll pop in Andrew's pitchfork. Now, this tool is drawn on 3 points and represents parallel trend lines. On the first trend line, we'll start here. Second, we'll go here. Third, we'll go here. Okay. There we are. There's the Andrew's pitchfork there. You see it containing prices here and having a median trend line that the prices oscillate around. That can be very, very handy. Let's pop down here to cycle lines. Cycle lines are interesting. Let's see, let me do that again so we'll do that correctly. You see how you can change that cycle from larger to smaller. This could be very handy if you're looking to find some sort of cycle or pattern inside of the data, such as maybe looking for, it moves through every 8 hours there's a peak, or every 8 hours there's a valley. No matter how short term these cycles might be, they can end up being very, very handy. So let's remove this. Remove all these from our objects list and clean up our chart a little bit. Okay, there we go. Down here, text label. Okay, we'll just put this as peak. Okay, now the interesting thing about this is anchored, so it's a little bit different. You can see where it shifts here. Label properties, bottom left corner. but it's still, you can just move it around to wherever you'd like for it to be. And you can also change the properties of that particular label right here in parameters. You can angle it as well, X distance, Y distance, and you can change the name, the color, the size of the font. If you run it really big, no problem at all. So that wraps up the coverage of the insert menu. And next we're going to go on to the very exciting chart menu. Thank you very much.